So I've got an account on this website that's actually a social platform, and I've got my original possible editing PC part list right here, and you can see the parts there, and I'm going to have links to all of these in the description below. And to teach you guys a tiny bit about this website, I'm going to go through it real fast. I'm going to start a new one. It's like the what if I had to go super duper cheap and I didn't have the stimulus check and I really had to build the system that I was thinking of building. So go to System Builder, and to get started, I have my main system, which you've seen in other videos on this channel. What I was thinking of doing was replacing the motherboard, the CPU, the memory, and the cooler, because I've already purchased a video card, the 1660 Super. That's in a previous video and also an upcoming video where I'm doing some benchmarks, but that's about it. And I was planning on taking the parts from this PC that I just explained I was replacing and putting them in another PC. So start with, if I was doing super duper cheap, I would get the refresh of the AMD Ryzen 5 1600. There's a 12 nanometer version, and what that means is that it was a refresh of the original 14 nanometer, and AMD is doing really good with their 7 nanometer stuff, but it's one of their products that came out in between, and it has really good performance.
Hey peeps, future/editing me here. After I bought the computer parts and rebuilt this computer with my son, I saw a tweet on AMD Ryzen's Twitter page about some new CPUs coming out, and I started doing research on that. And they're actually around the same price range of the two CPUs I'm going to be talking about in this video. The two I'm talking about are the 1600AF and the 3300G. I am linking this tweet in the description below so you can check it out. But it basically says, delivering world-class desktop performance, blah, blah, blah. Meet the AMD Ryzen 3100 and the 3300X. And we can click here, and that actually loads an AMD website, and you can scroll down and see more information about their CPUs. And it's actually pretty exciting that I see 5 different SKUs in the desktop processors and 5 in the desktop processors with graphics built in. And I actually discovered the difference between the two processors while making this video. So stay tuned.
So let's see, if I go down here and I choose AMD as the manufacturer, and then that is a Ryzen 5. I want to make sure it's an AM4 socket. Now let's hit Control F to search. And they don't have it. They have the 14 nanometer one, and they have the 1600X. So what I'm talking about is less than $100. So I'll put 7 and 3 in here, see if I can find one, just so you can understand the pricing. I'll just add this. Oh, it's got integrated graphics. That's cool. And it's a 3rd generation for less than $100. The motherboard that I bought has integrated graphics. So this would have been an interesting choice for a super cheap build. So I'm going to leave it in here. 3rd gen? Heck yeah. If you're not doing heavy gaming, you're not doing graphics editing. So CPU cooler. If I were doing super cheap, I would check if this came with a cooler. So it says AMD Ryzen 3 3200G. Let's check Newegg. There's a 3200G. It's got a nice speed. 4 core. I wonder how many threads it has. It should have 8. No, it's only got 4. That wouldn't be enough in my case. Unless I'm doing a super cheap build, which is what this is. And it does come with the cooler. So we're not going to need a cooler for a super cheap build. If you were going to push something harder, you would need a better cooler.
All right, hey, now we're about to talk about motherboards. And also in June, with the new CPUs from AMD, will be a release of a new chipset, and it's going to be called B550 right here. And in this particular scenario of my build, I was looking at B450 for the super budget version and an X570 for the little bit higher cost one. B550 is going to be a new option coming out in June. And keep in mind, if you want the forwards compatibility of being able to put the 4th gen Ryzen chips that come out in 2021 or 2022, you're going to need either X570 or B550. And just to compare, and this other article from Forbs I also have in the description below. These are the two CPUs I was talking about earlier, and you can see how they've got speeds that are comparative to some of the others. They're super fast at a super low MSRP, and this is how much heat it generates, so that's pretty low too, so it's pretty good. All right, back to past me.
Choose a motherboard. Look at these brands. I'll just check the good ones that I know about from watching YouTube. And then we only want AM4. And I want to do a full size, normal size motherboard. That's what ATX is. Chipset. I want B450 because it was one I was looking at before on this original build back here. And I'll tell you why I chose X570 later on. It's really important for some people. Obviously DDR4 is the only choice. Okay, alright. That's the memory, by the way, the DDR4. So if I were super cheap, I would sort this by price. $100 for the MSI and the Asus. We got two PCI Express 16 and 4x1s. What's this got? The same? 1, 2, 3. Okay. It's got an M.2 slot. That's cool. This has an M.2 slot. So it would be a toss-up for me between these two. I've used MSI for years, and I'm going to go with them in this case because my channel's not big enough to where brands have been sending me stuff yet. I do have something that a brand sent me. It's my first one, and it's probably going to be uploaded this week. I did a review with Charlie. So get subscribed so you can see that. What's it complaining about compatibility? Warning, some need a BIOS update. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. You can actually just check. You can do this on any motherboard. You just go to the website where it is, and then what's number 1 say? Yep, flash BIOS button. You're safe. What that is so that you don't even need a CPU in the motherboard to update the BIOS. You download the file from the manufacturer website, you put it in a flash drive. If there's special instructions, they tell you where to put it, and then you plug it in to a certain specific USB slot, and that's also in the manual that comes with the motherboard. And then you do something with this button. Read the manual. But moving on, it updates your BIOS so that you can use a newer CPU. Memory. So what I want to do is go to Newegg. Newegg's really good for two things: specs and reviews, without having to like dig through all over the internet to read reviews or dig through manufacturer websites. You get the specs, and if you want to be really, really sure the specs are right, you can compare between Newegg and the manufacturer. So I'm looking for a B450A Pro Max. I'm putting these on. Starting to get the headache. Here it is. Out of stock. Doesn't mean you can't get it somewhere else. The motherboard I got was out of stock on Amazon, so I got it at Micro Center. But I'm going to go down to specifications. There we go. The memory is what you need to look for. What I've heard from reviews online, the numbers you want for the memory support are 3200 and 3600 for AMD Gen 3. Okay, that CPU that I put in this PC part picker thing is a Gen 3, so it'll take 3600. No, there's no 3600 there. So it would definitely be a 3200. Even if I get an even older CPU like the 1600 AF, link in the description that I was talking about earlier with the 12 nanometer. Maximum memory 64. Of course, if I were going super cheap, I'd probably just get 16 gigs of RAM. DDR4 3200. And I want 16 gigs, and to get the most performance and the least amount of latency, you're going to want two 8 gig sticks. You can do 4x4 gigs, but this leaves you room to put 2 more 8 gig sticks. And if you put one 16 gig stick, you're actually going to get a little bit more latency. It's faster. It's called dual channel, which means it's good to have 2 sticks because it can support reading and writing to your memory, both sticks at the same time. So let's sort this by price. Oh, there's a G-Skill set for $69. There's a Team Force Patriot. The prices go up for the prettier looking stuff. Well, they're all the same price, so let's click all 4 of these. Viper. Let's look at that motherboard again. Look at that Viper RAM. It looked pretty cool in there with the black and white theme. So let's add that in. All right, storage. I already have storage if I was doing super duper cheap, but since I plan on using this hardware, I would add another SSD. And we've got M.2 ones, 50 bucks. Nah, I don't want that one because that's a hard drive. I want SSD. Show me all the different SSDs. And it'd probably be like a 500 gig. Of course, if I were doing super budget, I'd probably get a 250, but 500 gigs are super cheap. Price. There's capacity. Let's turn this capacity up. There we go. A-Data, Western Digital. Green stickers, no. Silicon Power, Patriot, Kingston A400. I've used Kingston. Okay, yeah. Are there any M.2 ones in here to compare to that price of around 60 to 70 bucks? If I go down over here and choose M.2 2280, what's this crucial piece? Ooh, 65 bucks? Yeah. That looks good. Let's add that. Shares bandwidth. This is something to note. This is why I ended up getting instead of a B450 motherboard, an X570, is because that chipset disables some of the SATA ports on your motherboard if you have an M.2 SSD. What are all these letters and numbers are saying? Blah, blah. M.2 is a slot type in the motherboard that you got the skinny solid state drive. And what solid state drive is, it's what's replacing hard drives. It's little chips. Super fast compared to hard drives. The chipset on the motherboard is a thing that is the go-between between the CPU and all the other parts. That's fine, because a super cheap build, I would not have as many hard drives as I have. Choose a video card. If I were doing, I would still get 1660 Super, because I'm super poor, people, and that's why I got that one. Let's look at all the brands. Even though I'm an MSI fanboy, PNY Asus for this price. By the way, you see these prices here? In case you're interested, the 1660 Super XC OC is like a slightly overclocked one from MSI. I'll put a affiliate link in the description of the one I got that I'm using right now. But I paid around this much. Gigabyte. Let's just look at these random ones. Now that's a little tiny one, so that's going to be clock slower. That's for what's called a small form factor build. I'm going to be building a full one. So let's see what this Gigabyte looks like. That looks decent. Oh, and look, the color scheme too is black and white. 15, look at the speeds too. You see this? The boost clock is lower on these short ones. But at least that one. 6 gigs of RAM, that's good. That's RAM on the video card. Choose a case. I'm going to want a full tower or a mid tower. And it has to be able to fit an ATX board. Super duper budget. Ooh, that's kind of slick. That one has a 5 1/4 bay at the top for old school stuff. Rosewill. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, I'm sorry. I have to pick this one. It's USB 2, USB 3 in the front, and a lot of airflow with this grill, and a lot of view into the inside. Nice. Tempered glass. Oh. Okay, now we need to choose a power supply. You're going to love this. One of the things that would totally ruin your build, so the most important thing ever, is your power supply. Because it is what provides power to all your parts. I've got AMD Ryzen 3200G. I put it in here. 1. 3200G. Memory. 2. 4 gig DDR4s. Video cards. NVIDIA. They don't have a 1660 Super. So I'll just choose the 1660 Ti. It uses a little bit more power. 1660 Super is very, very close in performance and power usage as the 1660 Ti. Storage. I'm going to have one M.2 SSD. Is that what I chose? Optical drives. In that case, I would have slot for one, so I'm just going to say I have a Blu-ray drive in there. Just in case I had one, and you want to have enough headroom for that power. Standard keyboard and mouse. Yep. PCI cards. I'm going to have a high-end sound card because I already own one. Let's put like 5 5 USB 2.0 devices and 4 USB 3.0 devices, because that's what I have hooked up right now. Fans, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fans that I already own, and they're 120 millimeter. Liquid cooling kit, no, because I'm super cheap on this pretend build. Monitor, 2. They're like 17 inches. And then computer utilizations, yeah, okay, no gaming. 3D apps. 3D apps, well, editing up to 8 hours a day. That's how long I've done it a few times. 399 watts. That's pretty freaking low. Enough headroom that I recommend is like 150 more than that. So that's 400. Like when I calculated it for this machine, it was 600. So I bought a 750 watt power supply and it's been doing me good. Why you need headroom is because if you do all the math and it's say you need a 950 watts and you buy a 1000 watt. What if something peaks and it pulls too much? That happened to my mining machine with those numbers I just said. I calculated all this math and it was 950 and I bought a 1000 watt power supply and it burnt out one of the little slots on the power supply that you connect the cable to. Never again will I not give enough headroom. So I'm going back to System Builder, go to choose a power supply, and I'm going to want 550, right? ATX, that's going to be what's called the form factor, so it fits into the case. There are different sizes of power supplies, like mini form factor things. Modular, semi, full. Got to have some modular. That means you don't use all the cables. Like it would just stinks to have all these extra cables going nowhere when you can just keep some of them in the box. Set this to 550 to 750. And we also want the rating. This is the efficiency rating. Your electric bill will be lower with the higher efficiency rating. The second thing is it's less likely for you to burn out the power supply. And the third one is that if something does burn out, the power supply will just burn out that one component instead of the whole thing or the whole motherboard. Never heard of that brand. Enermax, I've heard of it. Be Quiet's really good, according to a lot of YouTube reviews. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, it's got that color on it, but I won't see that part of it. And the sticker's black and white. Okay, good. That'll match my build. I'm gonna grab that one. It's a good price. What's it? 600 watts. That's a lot of headroom. Not much price difference between those two. I'm gonna grab that. We're back here. Optical drive, I already have one. Operating system, I already have one. Software, monitor, external storage. So that's everything. Now I'm gonna save this. Check this out. You're gonna like this. Save as, let's call it possible editing PC super cheap version. And then I can uncheck private and hit save. And it saves it. So check this out. This is the URL. If you wanted to share your part lists with me, all you got to do is when you save it, just uncheck the private and then go back into the part list like this and copy paste this URL here into a comment in the description below.
All right, that sums it up for the super cheap build, peeps. This super cheap build might be more expensive than what you would be putting into a computer. If you see right here, I've got this total's coming up to $468.94, but 3 of the things don't have prices. Lol. But when I was looking up the prices, the motherboard was around $120 on Newegg, but sold out. And this case was around $60, and this power supply was almost $200. Obviously, I could find a cheaper power supply, but just so you guys know, this is cheap to me. And I'd call myself super poor person. What I normally do is I save up money and buy 2 or 3 parts a month. And it takes me like 6 to 8 months to build a computer. But because of my stimulus check, I was like, doing it now. I'm hoping I'm still able to save money and do other things with stuff like my son's braces going on and other things going on in my life. But what I want you guys to do, this is your engagement challenge, do one of the 2 things. If you're a geek and you're interested in this website that I just showed you about, can you please set up an account there if you don't already have one, create your build, and then link it to me in the description below. And if you're not really into that, if maybe you're a social butterfly, find me on Twitter. I am at @PerRevolutions right here. And you can chat me up. All right, thanks for watching the video. I've been Robert Jean. Up here, I think I'll stick a video of me doing something with my son. And up here, I'll do a video of me doing something with other me. And down here will be a subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Bye.